Hello fellow humans and welcome to the T57 Heavy, and I already want to apologize for the video title and thumbnail because I just wanted to, for a moment, feel how to be a clickbaiting degenerate With that aside, let's now have a look at the T57 Heavy, and obviously this vehicle is insanely strong now the way it is. You have, well, 2.5 seconds to clip route, 3 shells in the magazine. That is still pretty good. Now, you might think that the MX-50B, because it has a bigger clip, is better. Well, no, it's not. The MX-50B has kind of been shoved into a corner. The T57 Heavy, however, is now a very, very good vehicle if you know what you're doing. Even a bot like me, as you can see right there, is gonna do pretty decent with it. That was okay. I could have done better. But anyway, what is so good about this vehicle, what makes it so special? Let's have a look, and obviously first, let's check out the consumables. Now, the shell reload boost is very useful. I definitely recommend that. Doesn't really matter whether you use the engine power or the shell reload. Both are gonna minorly boost certain things. This thing can come in handy if you want to unload a lot of things. However, if you're strapped on cash, engine boost, it is. Now, provisions, standard as always. Who the hell needs gunpowder? Just aim, bro. And ammo, again, you don't need to make it multipliers of 3. It doesn't matter. The equipment's very simple as well. Vertical stabilizer, why? Because I'm tracking a target, I want to have it as accurate as possible. Now, obviously, I could use the refined gun, but for me, the 57 Heavy is already accurate enough, so I'll keep it that way. And obviously, most of these, like engine accelerator, consumable delivery system, toolbox, gun laying drive, and optics are essentially for every tank. And then, like, something like a supercharger or a camo is only useful for a grill. Now, let's also have a look at the armor of this vehicle as well, because obviously it got changed. Alright, here we go with the 57 Heavy. Now, obviously, in terms of turret armor, what is that? Now, it has very funky angles here on the side of the gun mantlet. You can't pen the mantlet itself, really, except for some special places. Obviously, the cheeks of this thing are very weak, so they can be penned pretty easily. But the thing is, if you play this thing properly, you don't have to worry about that. Now, the hull is not great either, so is this tank OP? Of course not. However, if you know what you're doing, you're absolutely going to destroy everything that's in front of you, and the enemy can absolutely do nothing about it at all. Now, why would that be? Well, it's very simple. You need a good player, and you need a tank that is very good at using enemy weakness to its advantage. And that's exactly what the 57 Heavy is. So, let's go. Let's have a couple of battles. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also a special thank you to my channel members. Now, I started with a replay. This is a random game that I just got during Subplatoons. So, why not? It's very, very simple. And why not? Now, obviously, cherry picking is not always great, right? If you only show the best games, then that can lead to tanks being completely overhyped, obviously, and you'll never see the flaws of the vehicle. So, I'll play 2 more battles after this that are going to be after each other, and, well, we'll see. Now, I'll go into the middle here. You never want to go C on this map, and ideally you don't want to play Supremacy either, but I'm going to go over here towards the middle, and we can see where we can shoot on which sides. Now, what we have here is an IS-7 that peeks out sideways, and this is obviously very ideal, very easy to just shoot, and with my playstyle of, I know I'm better, I don't care, I take half my hit points down here, which doesn't matter. Like, how am I doing Super Unicum? Explain it to me if I'm playing like that. I don't know. Please. So if someone knows how I'm still doing Super Unicum but while playing like a complete that, please explain it to me, because I don't know. Anyway, enough of that. 2.5 second engine clip is obviously very lovely because you can unload 1200 damage in only 5 seconds. So, E50, there we go, another peek on him, and the M48 as well. The 57 Heavy is a great damage stealer. There is obviously something a damage dealer, but the T57 Heavy is more of a damage stealer, which is, if you know where to position the vehicle, if you know where to put it, and which positions it's the most useful, you can steal an insane amount of damage from tanks that aren't looking at you, like the E50M, like this M48, for example. You can just go down, push him, and there's nothing you can do about it. Essentially, because obviously, I got the shells, took the HE there, he re-peaks while reloading. That's always a great idea to do.
My goals are beyond your understanding.
Well then.
And that's 3,400 damage, just like that. Haven't even done anything, really. So, that is how fast this thing can rack up damage, and that is what it makes it so dangerous. And unlike the 50B, you can play this thing a lot more aggressive. You can play it a lot more aggressive, and you can play it a lot more in the face of people. Because obviously your reload's a lot shorter, which means your downtime's a lot less, which means you can stay in the front line for longer. You also have somewhat more useful armor, and that you will be able to use that to your advantage as well. Obviously the 50B, you can HE that thing. With this one, you can only do that to the rear. And that's 4,900 damage in 2 minutes. You could try to do that in the 50B, but in that you probably die a lot faster. Obviously, I'm not saying it's OP, because it's not. However, it can be made OP by the player, just like a Leo, just like an E50M. It's those kind of tanks that aren't really very straightforward, like, you know, like a I7 or something. You know, you can't pen it if it's in a certain position. Duh. There are some tanks in Blitz that are amazing if you know what you're doing, and this is one of them. So, let's see if I know what I'm doing. Probably not. But, let's see. Anyway, now 1,200 damage. If you do that 3 times, you almost got 4,000 damage already. This is insane. So, you only need 3 clips to do damage, and that is 15 seconds of peeking. Enemies can't fire back much in 15 seconds. And that's what makes this vehicle so damn strong, because the enemy don't have a lot of time to actually attack it if you play it in a way where you're stealing the damage, essentially. Or the Leo just decides to peek out like that, and that's 1,100 damage. Poof. Now, the reload, again, is relatively quick. It's only 18 seconds. If you're on a 50B, you have 5 more, which makes it a lot more clumsy, a lot more awkward. Now, that 50B is up there, which means he's going to be a pretty easy target for him to run away. And I can essentially deal the same amount of damage into him that he can do into me, but I can do it way faster, unless I get hit by RNGesus hammer of not hitting anything. And there we go. And that's a 50B that is dead. There we go. Obviously, the 50B can be played pretty well as well, right? However, the 50B has a lot more liabilities in this vehicle. And that's not great, and you have to be a lot more relying on your team to make a 50B work. And in the days of Blitz nowadays, where your team are, at best, possess the brain power of a cucumber, it isn't really great to have to rely on the team. Now, Vickers don't have quite the gun depression. It's 8 degrees, which is pretty strong, but it's not quite enough there. So I can get him tracked. Nope, not quite. Again, steal the damage. No one's looking at me. No one's threatening me. But I am getting free damage nonetheless. And that's 3k, just like that in a random game. So, that's pretty solid, I think. 3k already. But obviously, you want to have a bit more. Now, the Igloo is like all the way far over there in his corner. Nothing I am about to worry about. I want the grill and the 268 because they're obviously in the city. They're pretty easy to get. And there is... Hello. Now... That's the wrong ammo. And there we go. And the 268 just bounces. And that's 4.2k, just like that. Again, stealing the damage. Not being threatened by anyone, just go for it. And the 50B can't really do that. It's way too fragile. It has way too much downtime on its reload to be able to make that work effectively. Obviously can do it, but not to the degree that 57 Heavy can. So if you are looking for a Tier 10 autoloader that is pretty good, and if you can bring yourself to suffer through the T54 E1, then this tank is definitely one that you should definitely consider. Now, 5k damage, just like that. That's what the 57 Heavy is good at. It just steals games, it steals wins. And you don't really have to do much. You don't have to do a lot of dynamic avoiding and a lot of dynamic gaming. All you have to do is put yourself in a position where no one can shoot at you, and boom, you got 5k damage. So, this tank is insanely strong, and again, I apologize for the title and thumbnail that I haven't made yet, but I'm already apologizing in advance. But anyway, alright, now we're getting to game number 2, and one very useful tip for a vehicle like this is sort of try to stick to the middle of the map, because from there you can move around into a lot of good positions. Now, as you can see, the mobility is fine as it is. I can definitely keep up with an IS-7 up to, obviously, the top speed of this thing was just 35, but that's pretty much perfectly fine the way it is. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to push here into the middle, which might be good, might not be. And there we go. Again, steel damage. I'm looking at the Object 140 here. He's not looking at me. I get free damage. He can't do anything about it. Again, the damage stealer that the T57 Heavy is. There we go. 1-to-1, and our 68 unfortunately completely fallen into lunacy and have YOLO'd into the enemy team and have decided that they don't want to play anymore. I don't know why that would be, but I would assume that mind-altering substances are at play here. Now, the Kronvong, again, steal the damage. Don't be the one that gets shot at. That is how this thing works. Okay, now again, medium tanks, double peak. They're gonna shoot me, but anyway, I'll just use that. E100 might shoot me, but funky armor has saved me there. And that is exactly what this thing is about. Another one, there we go. Obviously, I'm in a bit of a precarious position here, as I'm kind of stuck between the IS-4 angle and the object angle over there. However, I normally will be fine. Now, if that IS-7, obviously I'm not going to peek the E100, because I'm, you know, preserve my hit points, all that kind of noob stuff. So, now, I got 2 shots. The enemies are not doing very well for themselves right now. However, they will most likely be able to get that grill. There we go. And now, Kronvong, before he turns. Nope, unfortunately not. Cupola. Yes, perfect. Again, I'm not the one that gets shot at. 2k damage. That's okay so far. Now, obviously, I don't want to get myself out of the side of the Kronvong so I won't get clipped there. And now let's see what we can do. IS-4 is now a tank destroyer. That's lovely. Kronvong's dead. It's no contest there. So what I'll do, I'll ignore the IS-4 for now. And clip this Kronvong. Again, he's not looking at me. He's not gonna cause me any trouble. And that is exactly how this vehicle works. It is just beautiful at stealing away damage from the enemy when they're not looking. Because it only takes you 5 seconds or 4, well 3.6 if you are, if my math is correct, then to unload if you are using the consumable. And that is just insanity. A 50B, it reloads 3 seconds for 4 shells. That's just quite a long time, and that's not great for it. And that's another 3.6 damage just like that. Didn't really do... Again, I didn't really do anything. I just sat around, waited for the reload, and then poof. And that is how simple you can essentially get high damage with this vehicle. And that is what makes this thing so strong. Now, mind you, you do need a lot of map awareness to know where to go. However, as I said, try to go to the middle of the map and then see where the game develops from there. And I can definitely recommend the 57 Heavy. It's a very good tank. However, not as your first tier 10. Might make a video on that. If you want me to make a video on what's the best first tier 10, then put it in the comments. And thank you very much for watching. As always, see you in the next one. Goodbye.